Dude, I have like I was looking at my Steam hours last night when I got off,
Yeah.
and I'm at like 100 hours on Modern Warfare 2.
Yikes, dude.
And the game's been out for 2 weeks now. Like I think as we're having this conversation, it's been 2 weeks, right? 2 Fridays ago.
We've clocked in some time on this COD, definitely. Like I haven't done a COD launch like this with you since we were probably in high school. You know what I mean? Like I can't remember the last time where it's like day one game launched. Let's just go hard. Already got tons of gold guns. Already have, I probably have like 60 something hours on you. You have like 100. Like it's a lot, man. And it's cool too because our friends are on. Like a lot of our friends are playing a lot too. It's like it feels like Call of Duty again. It really feels like a true to form Call of Duty release, and everybody's in on it. Everybody's like on board with it. It's not like Vanguard. It's not even like Cold War. Honestly, like Cold War, there was I think we even had people who didn't like Cold War that much, that we knew. But like this one and also just online as well. Like Cold War was kind of, I want to say, not that it wasn't accessible, but it was kind of like it just wasn't as widely popular as this game seems to be. Like
Sure.
this game
No,
is
yeah,
just it's crazy, taking social media by storm and YouTube and everything, like, which is great to see. It would just be a
well,
lot better if the game were more polished.
yeah. Well, that's what I wanted to ask you about because I mean, of course, we both been playing COD for more than a decade now. Honestly, probably closer to 15 years than 10.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I never really stopped playing COD. I think Vanguard was the first year that I completely skipped and did not own a COD since COD 4. I know that you kind of wrote the series off pretty heavily when Black Ops 2 ended. Ghost came out. That was kind of the line for you. And after that, which would have been 2013, it took a lot for you to be interested in playing a COD game. You touched Warzone a little bit. You played Cold War. With the exception of those two, I can't think of the last time you put more than maybe 50 to 100 hours in a COD game its whole
No,
year.
no.
So, but this one, man, you've been on nonstop, and I I want to know, what the hell is it about this game that has you on so much? Because it is good in my opinion, but it's not that much different from what we've seen in the last few years, right? So, uh, yeah, I mean, what do you think?
Well, I think it's a little bit of like I said, it's like a combination of all you guys are on it. That's a big thing for me. Like a lot of you guys weren't playing, like you've stayed on COD for the most part, but a lot of our other friends have been very not into COD either. So that kind of has always pulled me away. I have a little bit more time as well to do that right now, which the timing of it is just really good too. But I think moreover, like this COD, it just has some of those traits that I really like about Call of Duty and a lot less of the traits that I don't. It feels familiar in the ways that I remember what I really enjoyed about Call of Duty. And, you got the game chats back, the death comms are back, like, that sense of community is there in full swing a lot more than it ever has been in some of these more recent CODs that have come out. COD this year does not feel like some niche club that you're in of like, dwindling supporters that have just stayed true to the franchise, out of fandom, but it feels like it's something that you're actually a part of this year, and it's like a thing that's happening that you're in on, and it's like an event, that you're experiencing with everybody in a way. And like that's cool too. Now the game has a lot of problems. Like the game is extremely flawed, but I think part of what is keeping me for some reason going on it is just like it's cool that I've been here from the minute it launched. I don't feel like I'm behind. I don't feel like I'm being punished for not being able to play as much or whatever. And there's that, you guys all have the enthusiasm to get on so we can, get a party going. But also, the game is, I feel like, just frustrating enough to satiate my need to like to get more kills, to play another match, to try to get the camo, to whatever, that COD in other Call of Duty games, like I just for some reason, some combination, even in Cold War, for example, like I just don't feel the dopamine like desire, the sheer need to keep playing as much as it's like I could play a few matches and be like, I'm good. But like with this game, it's like just frustrating enough to keep me wanting to go to the next thing, which is very important for me because I have a bad brain and I respond positively to that, and it works on me, and that's in full swing too in this game, which I think you can attest to as well.
I mean, like I don't even know where to start, man. Like I like the game a lot. I like I said, I have a ton of fun playing the game. It feels really, really smooth. Like I couldn't believe it when we first played and I was running around the map and shooting people. It was like butter, man. The game was butter, and it still feels that way. It's so smooth. It's almost like I feel spoiled. I feel like if I were to go play another COD now, it would feel really clunky and like things weren't working smoothly as intended with shot registration and movement and everything. I know they tried to slow the game down, but it feels smoother somehow. Like I don't know what they did, but man, the game feels amazing mechanically, like at that
I agree.
round level. But there are some serious issues with the game too. And I think it's something we see a lot with COD. It's like this game would be amazing if they would just fix these 2 or 3 things, right? And it's almost the same story every year.
Yeah. Yep. Yep.
Like I love the guns, and I love that there's so many viable weapons. Like I'm always getting melted by something new. We were joking about when we were playing like that. Oh, this gun is amazing as long as I'm not the one using it.
That's how
it really feels that way sometimes.
Yeah.
But like, man, the weapon unlock system. Like, why do I have to use a battle rifle, to use an LMG, to get access to a submachine gun that I need to level up, to get this attachment that lets me aim down sights faster without making my recoil on my gun worse?
Well, you know why though. Like we know what. Well, I mean, maybe some people don't quite understand. Like the ideology of why they've made it this way is exactly to achieve what you said, which is it feels like a lot of different guns are viable, and you feel like you're getting killed by a different gun every single match. There's some other thing. It's not the same stuff that you're seeing over and over and over again. And that's because the system is designed to incentivize people to not just use one gun over and over, because you literally won't be able to progress through the game and unlock anything else if you do that, which is clever to a point.
Yeah,
to an extent. In this extreme of a state, it's like exhausting. It's like every single attachment, every single camo, even like some of the camos you can't even begin to unlock and progress to without prerequisites being met to even begin to be allowed to get the camo. Like it's crazy.
Yeah. Also, like, why is the weapon progression system is like so ludicrously deep, but then there isn't an actual progression system in the game? Like, yeah, you have the level 1 to 55 system, and you have levels for the weapons, but where are challenges? Like, where's the combat record? You know what I mean?
No barracks, no combat record, no leaderboards, only level 55, no prestige. It's weird. These are weird decisions.
It's like, they don't want you to see your stats and they don't want other people to see your stats because they're trying to get away from that, right? They're trying their hardest. You see it with skill-based matchmaking. You see it with stuff like no stats. I think, what was it? Modern Warfare 2019 was the first COD where, like, during the match, you can't see your deaths or anyone else's deaths on the scoreboard. It's only kills. You have to wait till the post-game scoreboard screen to see deaths. Yep. Like, they're doing everything in their power to make, like, I guess not make people feel like they're doing bad. And it's so insane to me that there's not even a combat record in the game for me to view for myself personally. But Infinity Ward can put out a website. They can make a website that can tell me who I played with in my first game of Warzone ever 2.5 years ago, and how much damage I did down to the individual number, like single digit number, how much damage I did 2.5 years ago, like hundreds and hundreds of games ago. But then I can't even get a combat record in the new premium COD game that I paid for. I didn't pay for Warzone. I paid for Modern Warfare 2.
Premium plus $75. It's after tax $75 to play this game. The most expensive Call of Duty base game that we've ever had to buy, and it has in a lot of ways less features, less functionality, less polish than a lot of recent CODs, and even some of the CODs that came out. Modern Warfare 2 in 2009 came out with a barracks, a leaderboard, prestige system up to 10, all these different things. And you can make the argument, well, there's new content in other areas, and that makes up for blah blah blah. But it always feels bad when it feels like, in terms of the content offerings, you're regressing in any area. It always feels bad because you're like, if I'm paying more, if it's 10 years later, all these things should be better, improved, blah 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 blah. And it's not always the case. We have actually seen it's quite the opposite of the case in almost every recent major AAA release, to date. So, like, it's tough because this game is at its core, you talked about mechanics and everything, like, it's good. It's really good. It's solid. It's got good bones. But decisions such as not having a barracks and not showing your stats and stuff like that, these are deliberate decisions made by Activision, make no mistake, because they don't want you to crunch the numbers. They don't want you to do the math. They don't want you to figure out their algorithm for matchmaking, their skill-based matchmaking algorithm. They don't want you to figure out what brackets you're being put in, because they know when they had that API data publicly accessible for every player previously, they made SBMM Warzone.com. They crunched the numbers. They figured out the algorithm and made it very, visible to the player base, and that was not cool to Activision, and they did not like that, and they did everything they could to stop it. So now they're withholding information on purpose and withholding data on purpose, because if they withhold even a portion of player data, it ruins the ability to reverse engineer anything, right? So when they implemented the new thing where by default player settings do not share their stats publicly to the API, and you have to opt into that manually, that was so that it would purposefully throw off all the data. It would knowingly skew all of the publicly accessible data so that nobody could reverse engineer anything ever again, because you can't be sure that every player has opted in and that the data is accurate anymore. And it never will be, because casual players are never going to actually opt into that in their settings because they don't know it's there. So these are all conscious efforts, and this game is the craziest, sweatiest Call of Duty we've ever gotten. It's insane. It's insanity in there, dude. I mean, it is like, I feel like I need a towel next to my computer when I'm playing to wipe the sweat off my brow. I feel like Rocky getting his ass beat in the boxing ring, and I'm going into the corner every match after in the post-game lobby for the 3 seconds the post-game lobby lasts, by the way. And I quick have to adjust my one attachment maybe, and then I get right back into getting jump shot around corners and absolutely sweated on in PC skill-based matchmaking in our skill bracket, which is not for the faint of heart.
It's almost become normal. Like, I've just become numb to it, that like when I go into a match, it's like, oh yeah, everyone in this lobby has hundreds of dollars of premium gaming equipment, right? Like, everyone on the other team has a scuff controller. They all have Astro A40s. Like, I'll kill people in the death comms. They're like calling out. People are calling out in pubs. It is fucking crazy, bro. And it's like this continuous cycle. New COD comes out, and the controller versus mouse and keyboard aim assist debate comes back. The SBMM debate comes back. It's the same thing every single year. I see a lot of really cold takes on SBMM, and even more on the controller aim assist thing. That just really, man, the controller one, the controller aim assist one pisses me off more than anything. That's how you get me. That will get me going for sure, because I cannot believe some of the stances people have taken on that. But now the SBMM, I mean, there's nothing we can do about it, right? We can complain about it. We can ask for it to be removed. We can look at data. We can access the API, make websites that show how ridiculous of matches you're getting in. But I mean, at the end of the day, they've had SBMM and COD as far back as Advanced Warfare in 2014 was the first COD to ever have it. And it kind of came in and out of the series. Like, it was in Advanced Warfare, and then it wasn't in Black Ops 3, and then, it was in Infinite Warfare, and then it wasn't in Black Ops 4, it was in World War II, and like, it just kind of comes and goes, and now it's become a staple for the last, I think, 4 consecutive years. Modern Warfare, Cold War, Vanguard, and now MW2. And what do you know? Like, MW2 just broke a sales record for the most copies ever sold, most players ever online in launch weekend in the history of the franchise. So clearly, SBMM is working because the community is growing. Like, it's getting way bigger than it used to be, and a lot more people seem to be having fun on the game. And for the first time that I can remember, anyway, COD seems to be culturally relevant. Like, people that don't even game that much are talking about COD. Yeah. Like, it is a culturally relevant game, and it has taken the internet by storm. It's actually insane. I know someone that doesn't play video games at all, and even they knew when Modern Warfare 2 was coming out, because they go on TikTok, they go on YouTube, and they get ads and ads and ads for Modern Warfare 2. And they go to the store and they see Modern Warfare 2 on the Mountain Dew cases, right? Like, everywhere you go, like, people are playing Modern Warfare 2. It's all over the place. The game is, like, it's a phenomenon, honestly, and it's a great game. I would be lying if I said that I'm okay with SBMM being there. I wish it wasn't. I think that there's this common misconception that, well, if SBMM isn't in the game, then bad players are just going to get steamrolled every single time and they're going to quit. And that's like the other extreme, right? And that's not what happens. I feel like that's like such a bad faith argument to make, because the beautiful thing about not having SBMM in the game is there's no correlation to what lobby you're in. You just get put in a game. Like, it doesn't matter. You could be way better than the people in there, or they could be way better than you. And you never know what your experience is going to be like the next game. Whereas with SBMM, you get the same replicated experience every time, and it really wears down on you. At least it does me. And it's like, I only have a couple of hours of, like, really focusing and trying in me before I kind of just go on autopilot mentally. And it comes to a point where I don't really feel like trying anymore. I'd like to be able to just turn some music on and run around and go for camos, but I can't do that because I'm playing against, like, CDL players. Everyone in my lobby has hundreds of dollars of equipment to game with. They all have CMG and Game Battles accounts, because I looked their Activisions up, and most of them have, like, Game Battles accounts, CMG accounts. They all play competitive in my public match lobbies. And so I can't do that. I need to use meta weapons. I need to be able to hear the footsteps and the game sound, right? I can never unplug and just enjoy Call of Duty as the casual experience it is, because I'm a good player who does well most of the time. And so that has been stripped away from me. And not only that, it's been stripped away from my friends. I have several friends I play COD with that very casual, very, very casual players. Nowhere near a competitive level of play in COD. Couldn't care less about ever doing that. And sometimes they want to play with me, right? And I get in a lobby with them and we search, and they get put in there's some weird algorithm with how the SBMM works where like it tries to find people between where I'm at and where they're at, but the end result is that they still end up getting beat down the entire time, just repeatedly battered, like going way negative, losing, doing terrible, not having fun. And I'm not doing that great either because that's what's happening to my teammates, right? And it's just like it strips away the community aspect of being able to play with your friends that aren't in a comparable skill level to you. Why should someone have to be comparable in skill to play with you? You know what I mean? I can't play with people that are not as good as me. Like I can't party up with friends that don't eat, sleep, and breathe this game. Like that kind of seems to defeat the purpose. And then it's funny because when I party up with someone that's not that good, because of the SBMM system delivering a consistent matchmaking experience, now guess what does actually happen, Chandler? Guess what does actually happen? Now, my friend I'm playing with, who's a casual, is actually getting beat down by good players every single game.
Yeah.
Which is the exact argument you'll see from people on Reddit and Twitter is, well, if they remove it, bad players will just get beat down. Well, that's what's happening with it in the game when I party up with my casual friends. That is actually what's happening. It is a replicatable experience for them every single match because SBMM keeps us in the same bracket no matter what happens. Yeah. And it makes it impossible to play with people that, you know, don't live on this game and don't spend hundreds of dollars on Astros and Scuff controllers and G Fuel and, you know, that have lives and play other video games when they game. Like, it completely defeats the purpose, in my opinion. It kills the community aspect, which is what made games like Call of Duty so successful and so culturally relevant in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's the other side of that coin. We have a friend who he wanted to play with us. He got on the game, bought the game, got on, played a few matches with us, and was like, the only time I will get on this game is to play with you guys. And when I play with you guys, it is the sweatiest, least fun experience ever, way worse than Cold War, because he played a lot of Cold War, and even he's at our level, you know, and even he was like, this is ridiculous. I'm not doing this. This is insane. I don't have time for this. And he's trying to get a refund for the game. Like, he doesn't want to play, he doesn't want to touch it. That's the other side of the coin. You're saying like, oh yeah, you just want to pub stomp noobs or whatever. But the other side of the coin is you have people literally disengaged from the game and want to refund the game, and it's unplayable to them because they can't play with their friends, because now more than ever video games are a very social activity. And especially with our crew, like, you know, a lot of our friends we're not around each other geographically anymore, and that's the only way we can hang out now is playing video games together, and we can't do that on Call of Duty. Call of Duty is not the game to do that with everybody, because it's not accessible anymore. It's not something that anybody can jump into. I remember back in the day when people used to say COD was casual, when COD was for casuals and stuff like that, especially when the whole Halo versus COD stuff was more in swing. And now it's like, that can't be further from the truth. It's so not accessible to casual players at this point. If you want to play anything but solo queue, you know, in your skill bracket, it's like the system works to a point, but it's the modifiers for this algorithm are turned up so much in a way that it's too extreme. And now you can't even, unlike Cold War, where Cold War was a little more, it split that difference seemingly a lot more efficiently. You would think with a population as large as this game has, you know, touting these numbers of it selling the best ever and all these players online, that it would be able to give you lobbies that are more fun and evenly matched for these skill levels, but that can't be further from the reality of what happens. And, you know, this is ultimately, I think, something that's probably not going to change, because like I said, Activision has made concerted efforts to silence any data collection or anyone being able to say anything about this. So they don't want this to be in the conversation. They don't want to be transparent about it, and I don't think they ever will. But more so, it's seemingly, as you said, financially advantageous to continue with this system the way it is. It seems to be working. Now, we'll see months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, and this is a 2-year Call of Duty. That's a big thing to remember too. How is this going to play out long term, right? You got the numbers now, they're here now. How are these content updates going to go? And then are people going to stick around for a game where if you're anything but a 0.5 KD, if you're any higher than that, you're literally going to have to exert 100% of your energy every single lobby for however long your play session is, which, by the way, I don't have the energy for, a 5-hour session on a Saturday at this point because it's so fucking exhausting. And I need I just need to chill. Like it's not a casual chill experience at this point. Very hard to just kind of sit back and relax at the skill bracket we're at. And I'm not saying this either about, what our lobbies are like to be like, oh, whatever, our KDs or our performance as individuals. But I know that there's so many other players out there experiencing the same thing. People who don't really want to compete, people who aren't streamers, people who aren't whatever. Everyone always says in the comments or in the replies like, oh, the streamers just want to pub stomp noobs for their views. And it's like, bro, there's casual players that you don't see who, want to play casually. They have no money on the line. They have no career aspirations. And they also are experiencing the same thing. Like, you just aren't hearing about it because they don't have 4 million followers to tweet about it and complain. Like, that's a dumb argument. That makes no sense. Like,
because Call of Duty doesn't consume enough of their life for them to go on Reddit and talk or complain about it. Like, right. But there are some people that feel that way. Like, right. That's what's amazing to me, right? Is like, you use the example of our friend. So he only wants to play the game with us. Like, he wants to play the video game with us. Both of us have pretty damn good stats in COD. So when he gets in a match with us, he gets pummeled, like absolutely stomped. And he got off. He said, I'm not playing this game anymore. And he tried to refund it. Now, they didn't give him a refund because he had already went over the amount of time you have to be under to refund the game.
Like 5 hours or something. It was not long.
Yeah. But yeah, so think about that, right? You have a casual player who only wants to play the game in a social setting with their friends. They very rarely get on, and they got pummeled because of the skill-based matchmaking system and said, I want to refund this game. And after being denied, made the decision, I am only getting on this game for the PvE content to play with you guys. They literally said, I will only play Spec Ops and Raids. I'm not playing anything else on this game. So when that comes out, let me know. And that's the only portion of the game that they're going to have installed. So isn't that interesting how the SBMM system actually turned a casual player away from COD because it took away the ability to play casually and in a social setting at the same time. You can't do both. You can't have a social setting and have a casual match experience. You have to choose to solo queue and get in a match of your skill-based matchmaking division, or queue with other people, and if they're even a little bit statistically better than you, right? Like, you have a 1 KD and they have a 1.3. Just that alone is going to make a huge difference. I mean, from 1 to 1.3, you're talking like top 40 to top 17%. That's a huge leap in who you're playing against in Call of Duty right there. So it makes a big difference, and it completely strips the community aspect of the game away. And I mean, I just don't see how you can take that into consideration and feel like it belongs. I mean, if you want to do a system where if you're consistently performing bad, you get put in a lobby with other consistently performing bad players for like a match or two every now and then, I get that. But like completely like gating off good players from anyone else in a setting that is intended to be a casual sandbox arcade shooter game, it feels like it's super bad faith, right? Like, why are you basically compelling people to exert 100% of their effort or play terrible, basically? Like, why does it have to be one or the other in those cases.
Yeah.
And sometimes exerting all your effort will not stop you from playing terrible. In the example of our friend, who certainly didn't do bad for a lack of trying. He's just legitimately outclassed because of the SBMM. And there's nothing he can do about that. And it feels awful. Like, I can't tell you how many friends I have, like people at work, people who I know through Twitch, right? They asked me to play. I mean, you met some of them when you came to my graduation, right? Like, people asked to play COD with me, and I'm like, yeah, like, we'll see. And I really have no intention of playing with them because I know they're not going to have a good time playing with me. I've literally told people that have asked me to come play Warzone or they've asked me to come play Modern Warfare 2. I'm like, nah, I don't want to ruin your lobbies because that's what's going to happen. I'm going to join your game and it's going to ruin your lobbies and your live streaming. And I do not want you to have to sit there and live stream that while you're getting absolutely destroyed by the sweatiest CDL Grand Finals $1.6 million World Championship like series players you'll ever encounter in your life. And your whole chat has to sit there and watch you deal with that, all because I joined your game to play with you. You know what I mean? And so I legitimately feel like segregated and ostracized forcefully away from my friends and casual players that I know by Activision because I cannot go play with them without ensuring that they're going to have a bad time and perform terribly every single game. And like, all I want to do is play games with my friends. Like, I don't even get on. I don't even get on the game 99% of the time unless I'm going to play it with people. It's the exception right now because the game just came out. Like, it just came out. It's brand new and it still has that appeal to me, right? But any other game you can think of that I would play, you will never catch me on that game playing by myself. If my friends are not online in gaming, I am probably not online in gaming.
Same.
You know what I mean?
Same.
It's really that simple. So, like, that's all I want to do, and my arm has been twisted to stop me from doing that.
Yep.
And I think that's worth considering when you look at who SBMM benefits. And I feel like there's this misconception that SBMM doesn't harm anyone. Like, oh, well, if you're upset about SBMM, it's just because you're a tryhard who only uses the M4 every single game, and you have your sound at max volume, and you're going to go deaf at 30 years old, and you jump shot around every corner, and you have a scuff, and, like, you know, you're just sweating nonstop, and you only want to stomp on bad players. And that's the automatic assumption from anyone pro SBMM, is that you're just a super tryhard that wants to stomp on bad players. And, like, what do I gain from stomping on bad players? You know what I mean? Like, I don't, I'm not a member of Doom Clan. Like, I don't, like, I don't get YouTube revenue from uploading a 100 kill gameplay. You know what I mean? I just don't understand, you know, what the incentive would even be there for me. And I know that's anecdote. That's just my personal stance on things. It doesn't speak for other players.
It's like these people will say stuff, or they'll be like, oh, well, it's a skill issue then. If you're in these brackets and you're getting ran, then it's a skill issue. And it's like, okay, so which one is it? You're saying I'm bad. That's what your deduction is, that I'm bad at the game and I'm getting ran. So doesn't that mean something's wrong with how it's matchmaking me? You're acknowledging that there's still something wrong with the system then? Because why would I be getting matched with these people who are amazing and I'm getting ran every game? I'm pissed off 90% of my games, but that's working. It's working because what? Because my accuracy is too high. Like, I don't miss as many of my shots. I don't have quite as many deaths as some of the other players, but I'm still like getting shit on, you know, for all intents and purposes. It just looks a little different in my lobbies or whatever. And just because I'll have a few good games here and there, you're still saying, oh, the system's working as intended and it's just a skill issue. Okay, so, but it's not a skill issue for all the casual players who get ran constantly. You know, that's fine. It's weird how it's shifted to this thing where it's like, if you are, this sounds a little douchey, but like, it's like, if you're casually just good at video games, I don't know how else to put that. Like, I don't sit and put on my sweatband and my fingerless like boxing zero gloves and sit there with my scuff controller and play video games, whether it was Halo or whether it's COD now. Like when I go into pubs with my friends, that's not what I'm doing. I'm just playing the fucking game. And like you and I, we tend to do well. Even Andrew, our friend Andrew, he'll do decent. Like we'll all do okay. We'll do good. Sometimes we'll go off here and there, or all right. And we're not sitting here trying to make it into the CDL. We're not sitting here trying to DM Optic. We're literally just playing the fucking game. We're not even streaming half the time. We're not even recording, like nothing. And because we just do well passively, when our version of playing casually, we just do well, we're punished.
Now it's because it's autopilot. It's like muscle memory. You play COD for 10 years and you get good at playing. Like you run around, you shut your brain off, you turn your music on, you run around, you're still gonna gun people.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying. Like I would have to intentionally play bad to go as negative as some of my friends go when they get in my lobbies. Like I would have to be throwing grenades at my own feet and like intentionally playing terrible.
Right, and that's not fun either. I don't want to throw.
No, like
I'm not going to throw.
Yeah.
I don't want to smurf. I don't want to like tank my stats. That shit doesn't work anyway in this algorithm. But it just is. You're punished for your version of playing casually just because it looks better, quote unquote, via stats than it does when other players who are less skilled play casually. It's like. But I'm not allowed to have fun now. They get to have fun. They get to have their time, but we don't get to have any fun. And then we even try to go play competitive because we say, well, you know what? If fucking pubs feel like comp anyway, we might as well just go play comp and at least maybe get a little clout. Maybe get $100 prize pool while we're at it. At least everyone's playing like 50 grand's on the line. We might as well actually throw some money in. And so we go to try to play, and then you have to. All the players in comp, the new rule for this game this year is you have to stream your perspective with live comms so that they don't think so that they know you're not cheating on PC. So you're talking about aim assist, you're talking about SBMM, you're talking about the game being half finished and paying $75 for it, but we can't even begin to have a conversation about how competitive is so unsure of the stability of the game's anti-cheat that it isn't even sure it can detect people cheating or not, that everyone has to stream with live comms for the first time, to my knowledge, the first time this has ever happened in a Call of Duty season for competitive. That's how unsure of these systems that are supposed to protect us from cheaters and protect us from not having fun, right? These systems that are in place. So you're going to protect, lower skilled players. You have this strict SBMM bullshit, whatever, but you can't even guarantee me this guy's not aimbotting. You can't guarantee me this guy doesn't have walls. So what are we doing? Like, it's like, how can we even begin to have a conversation about anything else? We're not even at square one. The Ricochet system, I've seen fuck all about it being effective, since its implementation. It doesn't seem effective. As opposed, now it's a step above nothing, which was the previous solution.
Yeah.
It's insane. So you can't even enjoy comp either, because now you have to be fucking Dr. Disrespect and Tim the Tatman while you try to play comp. I don't have a 3070 in my laptop to fucking stream at 60 frames and not drop frames in a gunfight on these shitty, poorly optimized maps. In this beta test game that we're all playing, this fucking beta build of Modern Warfare 2 that came out a year too early in its development. It's just that shit's frustrating. That's when it gets frustrating, is when you start thinking about all that.
I'll tell you. So the whole like needing to stream thing when you play comp on PC, it really started in Cold War. About halfway through the year is when that really became relevant. It was at the time it was only in tournaments. Mm-hmm. Like you only had to do that in certain tournaments.
I remember that in tournaments. I remember that in tournaments. But we were just playing like normal, like lowest
I'm pretty
level
sure it got like. I'm pretty sure it got like adapted pretty mainstream in Vanguard. Granted, I pulled chocks on that game. I didn't touch it, so I wouldn't know. Right. But I mean, now it's the standard, right? And it's like if every single player on every team in every match regardless of whether you're playing for money or you're just playing a ladder match for ranking on a website, has to be able to stream a webcam pointed at their monitor with all team comms just to prove that they're not cheating. Like, if the level basis expectation is you must at all times prove you are not cheating, what does that say about the competitive integrity of your game and what the status of your competitive scene and your game looks like? You know what I mean? And then like it seems like they're doing more to combat good players from being in casual players and bad players lobbies than they're doing to combat cheaters from being in anyone's lobbies. And it's just like, dude, like where are your priorities, man?
Well, you can see what their priorities are. Their priorities are, it's not about, like, that's where people are getting it wrong online, right? When they're having these arguments about SBMM and shit. Because it's not about providing the most competitive, challenging, interesting, engaging lobbies. That's not what it's about at all. Because if that's what it was about, they would crack down on the cheating and you wouldn't have to point your webcam at your monitor when you play comp because the system would just work. You go cheat in Counter-Strike Go, you get fucking VAC banned for life. Your Steam account is bricked. That's what it detects you in 2 minutes tops. You're done. It's over for life. That's how good their systems are for detecting cheats. But that isn't the priority here because they aren't actually trying. They say, and a lot of people online think, it's about protecting that competitive integrity, but it's really just about maximizing retention. SBMM is not to make lobbies competitive and fun and interesting. It's to make sure people keep playing the game and stay on the game. And I think they know that people at our level have a higher ceiling of tolerance for challenge, and we won't get off the fucking game as quickly as people who aren't as skilled, and they will literally just never get on again, like our friend who's trying to refund the fucking game. That's all they care about. They just care, keep playing, buy the skins, keep looking at the store, buy the battle pass, stay on the game, stream the game, play the game, talk about the game, trend the game on Twitter. That's all they give a shit about. It is literally about nothing else. As it's a business, whatever, but just don't go in these replies and make these dumbass arguments about, well, it's to make the most challenging experience for you guys who are at a higher level. Dude, you drank the Kool-Aid, it's over, you don't get it, like, just stop. Like,
Yeah, no, that's insane to me. They want every lobby to be competitive thing is absolutely nuts to me. That's the complete opposite of what they're trying to do. Like, that's just the complete opposite of what they're trying to do. Like, you know, I don't even know what more can be said about SBMM. It is.
You know, the game is you're right now in the part of the stream that you're in. You're just like, you're so mad about a bouncing Betty. Your reaction was so funny.
What? Oh, really?
Yeah, you literally face palmed, like you did like the Home Alone scream, like fully animated.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of when that would have been. Like,
you're on the castle. Yeah, the map that's just on the Warzone 2 map.
Bagra Fortress.
Yeah, Bagra Fortress.
Well, because the bouncing Betty, like, I had EOD on and it killed me. Like,
yeah,
also it went off really fast.
With EOD regardless, which is a
cool
feature.
No, they won't, bro. Like, that was why I was so tilted about that. Like, yo. Yeah. It's like we want the most fair competitive experience possible, which is why we're gonna wait 8 weeks to balance the AK-70 for you.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Everyone, like, we want all 12 players in the lobby to have 3 decoy grenades that regenerate every 20 seconds. And, like, the AK-74U is just going to, and the SPR are just going to be head and shoulders above every other weapon in the game. And, you know, like, I have nothing else to say about it. I have nothing else to say about SBMM. Like, there's no way that you think, like, there's no way you think that the intention of SBMM is to make lobbies competitive. It is 100% to the intention is to protect casual and bad players from getting rolled too hard and not coming back to play the game. Second of all, I think that the people at that level, the people that are in the lower skill divisions, don't really care that much if they get rolled or not anyway. Like, at least in my experience, the people I know that are super casual, that play like a couple hours a week, they don't care. They'll get on and they'll go 12-50, and I'll hear them in game chat. I got 12 kills that game. Like, they're mind blown at how fun that was for them, right? Like, so I mean, I can't even say that. It's just how disconnected from like the psychology of a human being do you have to be to think that SBMM is the answer? And it's hard to say it's not when the sales keep going up, right? But I mean, with the exception of like Jetpack CODs and Vanguard, like, you know, when do the sales not go up? Yeah. I feel like every year COD breaks a record, so it's like,
yeah,
you know, I don't know, man. Also, like, bad players are capable of getting better. Like, if you're gonna pull the skill issue card, let's hold that same standard for everyone, or let's not hold it to anybody, right? Like, it's like you said. How are you gonna say, well, casual players should be protected from tryhards, and then, well, if you're a tryhard and your lobbies are too difficult for you, it's a skill issue. Like,
it's like, what makes me, like, what's the where do you draw a line that differentiates those two groups? Like, where is the line for you? What is it?
Also, majority of the COD,
like, what is it? Like
majority of the COD player base is lesser skilled players. Like, I can't remember the graphic. I'd have to find it online. But yeah, basically, like, I think it was a Warzone stats thing that basically said 0.8 KD and up is the top 50% of players. So 50% of COD players have below a 0.8 KD. 50%. By the time you get up to like 1.1, you're at like 80% of the community. Like 80% of the community has a 1 KD or below. So
50% of the community, the majority of their games, they're getting ran. Like, they're dropping negative. They're dying more than they're killing. Like, that's not generally what we would consider a good game. That's not generally even, that's not even that fun usually.
They don't care.
Like, it's, yeah.
They don't care, though. They got on just to run around in a super cool, smooth, realistic feeling game with awesome visuals, great sound effects, and a sense of community with their buddies from work or school or whatever, to get on and shoot an M4 at people for an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Like, and just and see the points pop up on the screen. And like,
that's what it's all about.
You know what I mean, dude? Like, why are we thinking so much about this? Like, we're the ones that make this the way it is. And don't even get me started on like Twitch and YouTube and TikTok and how that's impacted the community. And, you know, it has, but yeah, that's a different topic for a different day. I'm not even gonna go into that right now. Be sure to join the Game Gains Discord channel for game nights, community events, to hang out with us, get updates on new videos, and follow the MWII Podcast on Spotify. Both links in the description.